For millions of Americans, it was absolutely epic. UFC 250, the astonishing celebration of faith, family, and freedom on the White House lawn for our nation's 250th anniversary. And in the midst of all that fanfare and pageantry, the cultural rot of the woke left dribbled nonsense like this.
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Hey there, all you fascists. Let me put you straight. When you come for the rest of us, we'll fight you at the gate and you will lose. You fascists bound to lose.
But if you thought that was cringe, and it was, it's nothing compared to what old Reverend Al Sharpton had to say about this glorious event. Stick him in the very end of this video because we're about to see how the woke left is actually evidencing their own demise in their protest of UFC 250 and why Dana White had the best possible response that will echo for generations to come. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another magnificent day in the glorious golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Yesterday, we dedicated a video to the absolutely historic civilizationalist event that occurred Sunday night on the South Lawn of the White House. You know about the Octagon, the fireworks, the Hail to the Chief, the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds with that amazing flyover during Zac Brown's singing of the Star-Spangled Banner. You had a 101-year-old Medal of Honor recipient, Royce Williams, walk to the cage. Well, he was in his wheelchair. He was wheeled to the cage. Fighter accompanying fighter, and the ultimate gesture of Josh Hokit putting his fight chain around the president's neck, a sign of respect from one fighter to another. Quite literally one of the most iconic American nights in recent memory. And yet, at the very same time, this epic event celebrating Flag Day and America's 250th anniversary, at that very moment it was taking place, the woke left decided to do something like this.
No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind. Not this time. No one is getting left behind this time. How do we get there? Together or never get there at all.
It was literally beyond embarrassing. I mean, there could not have possibly been a better demonstration of what happens when a movement that once dominated culture has been exiled into the periphery of irrelevance. And yet, while these woke activists were demonstrating the cultural rot of the dying left, woke activists disguised as journalists in the pundit class demonstrated the left's intellectual rot. And no one even came close to demonstrating that rot more than the race huckster par excellence, Al Sharpton.
Because when we're dealing with this redistricting, Trump and others are trying to bring us back to an America that we struggle to get out of. So there is a connection of why they're having these fights on the White House lawn, the UFO and all whatever they call it, UFC, and all that, because they're trying to go back to that when they'd watch people have these fights for the slave masters and they'd be entertained by that. They're literally going back to that.
Now, besides the obviously stretched, forced illogic there, I mean, that makes an art form out of logical fallacies. But that said, does it ever cross Al Sharpton's mind in the least that he's a member of the very political party that defended slavery? Does he not even realize that it was the Democrat Party that he has devoted his life to, that he ran for president under? They were the champions of the very slavery he's trying to tar and feather Trump with. I mean, I don't even know if such cognitive dissonance is actually possible to comprehend. But if you can imagine, it actually gets worse. Just when you thought this guy's borderline historical illiteracy couldn't get any more absurd, check it out.
Let's not forget.
Look at these ICE raids
That's
playing
right.
out on America's
Let's
streets.
not forget one of the things that I think slips a lot of people. When Donald Trump first was elected in 2016, Mika, in 2017 when he went to Oval Office, one of the first things he did was hang a picture of President Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was a slave-owning president who nominated Judge Roger Taney to the Supreme Court. Taney became the Chief Justice that saw the Dred Scott decision passed. Why didn't anybody ask Trump, Andrew Jackson? I don't even remember reading about him in elementary school. Why Jackson? That's the kind of country he wants us to go back to, Andrew Jackson, and we must resist that with all we have.
Andrew Jackson was a Democrat. Andrew Jackson was one of the founding members of the modern Democrat Party. Like, I know this is the party that doesn't know what the difference is between a man and a woman. I know. But now they're living in an alternative reality where they attempt to weaponize history in such a way as to accuse others of the very sins their own political heritage committed. I mean, it's beyond parody. So what you just saw there, the UFC Freedom 250, the stars, the stripes, the fanfare, the celebration, the patriotism, the athletic competition, the lights, the music, the flyovers, all of that was, according to Al Sharpton, nothing more than a racist return to slavery. I mean, seriously, what level of ideological brain rot has to infest your mind to even begin to come up with frames of reference like that in response to this obviously ultra-patriotic, wonderful Flag Day celebration? And the irony here, by the way, is that ultimately, it's Al Sharpton that is himself becoming more and more a relic of history. Here's Columbia University professor John McWhorter on the end of the era of black grievance.
Now we have so many people with so many different kinds of problems, and it's never going to be the way it was before. And I find myself watching someone like Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson, and he's clearly minted right in the era of black power and root causes, the idea that no black person can really do anything wrong because of our history. And to me, and I think to an increasing number of people, he looks tinny now. He talks in a way that would have been considered very urgent and very Jesse Jackson-esque in 1982. It doesn't work now. He's becoming a relic of another time. I suspect he won't be reelected, and that type is going to be ever rarer. We need more cosmopolitan and, frankly, more honest people as our black leaders. It's gotten to the point that when someone comes along who thinks that we're still in the era where black grievance is something that a significant number of whites are ready to just lay down and change the rules for, I see that kind of person and I almost feel sorry for them, because I can tell that they just don't know what else to do. They can't imagine going another way. The noise that they're trying to make and the effect that they're hoping it's going to have, it's not going to work the way it did for previous generations.
And nothing demonstrates that more than the way UFC President Dana White responded to this woke insanity. It was absolutely epic, and wait until you see this. Did you know that about 1 in 5 Americans live with chronic pain that won't go away? For many, the advice is always the same. Manage the symptoms with pills, injections, or quick fixes instead of addressing what's actually causing the pain. And the daily cost of pain isn't just physical. It affects your mobility, your work, your energy, your overall joy. Over time, it quietly limits how you live. That's why innovations like TheraBlue from my friends over at the wellness company really matter. TheraBlue isn't just another topical cream that sits on the surface. It's a next-generation peptide gel designed to work at the cellular level, where inflammation and tissue stress actually begin. It uses advanced molecular delivery technology to help key ingredients penetrate deeper into muscles and connective tissue. Its formula includes compounds like GHK copper peptide, which supports tissue repair and collagen production, along with NAD+ support for cellular energy and recovery. It also contains methylene blue, known for supporting mitochondrial function, plus natural anti-inflammatory ingredients like turmeric and arnica and MSM and white willow bark. The result is fast-absorbing, non-greasy comfort that doesn't just numb the area, but supports your body's own recovery process over time. No pills, no injections, no harsh chemicals. If you're dealing with muscle pain, joint discomfort, or ongoing inflammation, this is worth a look. Visit twc.health/Turley. That's twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to take 15% off TheraBlue, a next-generation pain-relieving gel from the Wellness Company.
Things going on in this city up until July 4th to celebrate, and the fact that he trusted me to do this and to deliver tonight, and we did. And like I said, I did all the media. We went to New York. I did far left. I did far right. I did down the middle. I did it all. And I believe that if you are an American, no matter where you sit politically, tonight was a proud night to just sit around and enjoy the 250th birthday of America. I was just honored to be able to be. I was honored to be the person that he trusted to deliver tonight. And I hope everybody, as an American, feels that we did.
Bravo. I mean, that was perfect and simply said, wonderfully said. This has nothing to do ultimately about right versus left or conservative versus liberal or Republican versus Democrat. And it certainly has literally nothing to do with pining for the old era of slavery. This was a civic celebration of what's supposed to bring us together as a nation. A love of country, a love of tradition, a love for those who defended our nation and paid the ultimate price, a love of sacrifice and achievement, a love of freedom, a love of liberty, a love of faith and family. This is what's supposed to bring us together as a single united people, and anyone who would inject partisan and grievance and racial politics into the mix of that is literally poisoning our nation. They are attempting to rip the very fabric of our national unity. As the New York Post pointed out, this controversy isn't about mixed martial arts. It's about who gets to define American culture. And the left is furious not because the UFC is at the White House, but because they are no longer at the White House, because the culture they weaponized against us for 30 years just got body slammed on national television for everyone to see. And again, what's so astonishing to me is how they don't even recognize that they are actually the ones who are ultimately causing events like this to take place. The great 20th century historian Oswald Spengler observed something remarkable. He noted that throughout history, when civilizations enter periods of severe cultural decline, when populations fear the end of what they've inherited, when social orders suffer from paralysis and the elites have lost the confidence of the people, those same populations almost always put their hope in what Spengler called a Caesar figure. The Caesar figure is not an ideologue. He's not a policy wonk. He's not an analyst. He's a mythic prototype, a larger-than-life leader who the people believe can rescue their civilization from the forces that seek to destroy it. And this is exactly what we're watching in real time with Donald Trump. His appeal is not primarily ideological. It's not even primarily political or economic. Trump's mass appeal is mythic. And at the center of that mythic appeal is something the left cannot touch, cannot cancel, and cannot explain away. The reawakening of classical manhood. Consider this. Trump won married men by 22 points. He won non-college white men by 40 points. He won Hispanic men by 12 points. He won a higher percentage of black men, 21%, than any Republican candidate in half a century. Even the New York Times was forced to admit it, running headlines like, Trump offered men something that Democrats never could. And what did he offer? Simple. He offered them permission to be men again. He offered them permission to be men again. The UFC is not just a sports organization. At this cultural moment, it's become one of the premier theaters of masculine renewal in American life. Because what does a UFC fighter embody? Discipline, courage, physical toughness, the willingness to stand in front of another man and fight. The warrior virtues that every civilization in human history has celebrated, and that the political left has spent 30 years trying to pathologize, medicate, and shame out of existence. Trump didn't manufacture this hunger. He recognized it. He gave it a stage. He put it on the South Lawn at the People's House and let it speak for itself. The left spent decades telling men that everything they were was wrong. Trump looked at those same men and said, I need you. Your country needs you. It's time to stand up. And tens of thousands of them showed up on a Sunday night in Washington in the heat, under the open sky, cheering for warriors. And they were not ashamed. They were free. That's not just a political realignment. That is a civilization remembering its soul. This is precisely the kind of masculinity that Trump embodies and has reawakened throughout our nation for such a time as this. Trump is our hero not merely because what he has done for our nation, but what he has done for men. He's restored to us the dignity of what it means to be a true man, and as such, to rescue our nation from the forces that would destroy it together as one. That is what we saw this weekend, and that is what's about to change our nation and the world forever.
Got a question? Ask me directly. Every Monday night, I go live with Courageous Patriots Club members for a real unscripted Q&A. Scan the QR code and join us.